Hey, what is going on, guys? It's DK. Back at you with another video here for an early look at the Week 2 NFL main slate on Sunday. Before I get in the video, if you guys are new to the channel, welcome. My name's DK. I make daily videos and live stream for NBA and NFL slates on Draftkings. If you're unable to watch these YouTube videos, I also upload on Apple Podcasts. I'll have a link down below. It's called the DKDFS Show. If you're interested in signing up for premium content, I'll offer that on Patreon.com. An NFL package. I cover all the showdown slates, all the main slates. Again, link down below. Also offer an esports package and NBA package with NBA again right around the corner. And I do want to thank today's sponsor, Prize Picks. So if you guys are not familiar with Prize Picks, there are a few different ways you can play for NFL. The first way is you take over, under, and straight up fantasy points. So right now we have players posted for the game tonight, the Monday night game, as well as the game on Thursday. You can mix and match. Again, you don't have to play all from one game, or you can go over to single stat. If you feel better about taking over under on passing yards, rushing yards, receiving yards, receptions, passing TDs, rushing TDs, receptions, reception TDs, pass completions, again, everything. You can mix and match sports too. So if you're confident in a couple NFL, you want to mix in a couple from MLB, you can do that as well. So yeah, if you guys want to try it out, you can sign up, use the code DKDFS. DKDFS, all one word, link down below. We'll get a 100% match up to $100. So you deposit using my code, you get a free $100. One play gave out in the Discord for week 1 was the under on Derrick Henry. That went really well. He had 20 fantasy point production. Obviously, that hit the under just because basically everyone at Tennessee busted. But yeah, and finally, I want to thank you guys again for all of your support on the NFL content so far in these videos, live streams as well. If you do enjoy all the content, if you could, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell so you don't upload videos and you know when I go live. I'll be doing a YouTube live stream for before each main slate, before each showdown slate as well. Let's try to aim for 100 likes on this video, guys. And again, if you're watching this and you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. All right, so before I talk about players and their prices for the Week 2 main slate, let's look back at my lineup here from Week 1 main slate. So Week 1 main slate, just missing tournaments. Got a little bit unlucky here, but I'll go through my thought process. So went with Jalen Hurts, Kamara, CMC, Ridley, Pittman, Rager, Pitts, Callaway, and Bengals. So what I did here is kind of a stack with a bring back, right? I played Hurts, paired him with Jalen Rager, bring it back with Ridley and Pitts. I was hoping for a shootout. Well, the Philadelphia side came through in a big way. Atlanta. Really, Matt Ryan? Really? And at the end of the game, just insult to injury, instead of trying to air it out, they just ground and pound, just run the clock out. Pretty tilted about that, not going to lie. But yeah, I wanted to use the sped up running backs, Kamara, McCaffrey. McCaffrey was great. Kamara, a little bit of letdown. Can we talk about that game too? Talk about the Packers, just 3 points. Cool. Like, Callaway was a bust too in here. Yeah, he was the chalk, cheap wide receiver. I'm also very tilted about this. A couple things I'm very tilted about in slate. This is one of them. In the preseason, I've talked about playing Deontay Harris over Callaway for leverage because Deontay Harris is like a fifth of the ownership. Callaway goes for two touchdowns. This week, I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to eat the chalk with Callaway. He does nothing. Deontay Harris catches the long touchdown. Again, DFS in a nutshell. Like, really. But yeah, all in all, it was a solid week. So going over things I got right. I also have a TikTok now, guys, so make sure to follow me. I'll have a link down below. Week 1 stacks. So my top 2 stacks, or my 2 favorite quarterbacks were Hurts and Kyler Murray. Those are 2 of my stacks in this video, as well as the Saints stack. Winston went absolutely off, and the Chiefs stack, which was the optimal. And again, I talked about that a lot in the live stream. I was like, the Chiefs stack always goes low owned, and it did, and that was the optimal line. So again, make sure to follow me on TikTok. I'll have some short videos up here. And that was one thing I got right. Another thing was in cash games, I was hammering on Patreon to play 2 of the top 3 backs of Kamara, McCaffrey, and Cook to pair with Joe Mixon. He was the guy I liked in the mid-range. Mixon did really, really well. Some of the value receivers we hit on as well. Again, we went over some of the stuff I missed. Callaway was a bust. A couple of those chalk receivers are bust. I want to go over here. So don't feel bad if you have some guys that busted, right? These are the 4 most popular players in the luxury box, which is a $3,000 entry. Kyle Pitts, 47% owned. Again, kind of a bust, right? The Falcons just couldn't move the ball. Marquez Callaway, 30% owned. We know he was a bust. Raheem Mostert, 29% owned. Got injured, unfortunately. And Elijah Moore, 28% owned, was a massive bust too. So the 4 most popular plays by the Sharks were all huge busts. So don't feel too bad, right, if you landed on one of these guys or one guy missed, right? Going to happen. Like, not every single play is going to hit, but all in all, for Patreon members, it was a pretty good week for us. Showdown's been really good so far. This was in the main slate. Justin took 50th, so top 50 in the Millie Maker. That was a $5 entry. That's he won like $1,400. From Discord, we had a majority of people cash, or like if they didn't cash, they were just short in GPP. So yeah, all in all, it was a pretty solid week. And then, yeah, this was the luxury box. So this was the winning tournament, or this was the winning lineup in that. Like Mahomes stacked with Kelsey and Tyreek Hill. He's still at Callaway. Again, Callaway, almost 30% owned. He did have Deontay Harris as the pivot. Harris is 2% to Callaway 30%. Now, that was one thing. Going into the late slate, I was going to make that pivot if I wasn't looking good, but I was already in the cash and GPPs with Kamara and Callaway, so I thought, you know what, I don't need to make the pivot. I'm going to stick with Chalk Callaway. If I was not looking good, I was going to pivot to a lower-owned Deontay Harris. Again, unfortunately, Harris had a long touchdown. Callaway was a bust there, but yeah, I mean, you can look through people's lineups in here too. Like one play, so just GPPs in general, you're going to lose way more often than you win. Like, one of the best GPP players, like, I really respect, Big T. He entered this 6 times. He missed every single time. Like, that's, what, $24,000 down the drain? Now, he's one of the best GPP players in the world. But that's just to show you guys that you're going to miss way more often than you hit in GPPs. You just got to make sure when you hit, you know, you're in, like, the top 1%. Or you're not trying to min cash GPP. So, just in general in GPPs, again, you're going to lose. If you're only playing GPPs, you're going to lose way more often than you want. I think like the top GPP players win like 25% of the time. So just generally, you got to realize that if you're just playing GPP only. All right, so that's really it for the look back, guys. Again, pretty solid week all around for us. And let's talk about this slate. So start off with quarterback. Again, Kyler Murray, once again, I really like here. High total game. Next, we can talk about a couple Vegas totals that are on the higher end. So let's see, going down. Falcons, Bucks is a 52 over under, but again, Bucks are 13-point favorites. We'll see if the Falcons can maybe move the ball in that game. Cowboys and Chargers, another high over under, 55 over under. Cowboys seem too underpriced in the slate, I'll say that. And then Titans, Seahawks, another projected high scoring game, 54 over under. Another, it's kind of like all the afternoon games seem to be pretty high scoring. Vikings and Cardinals at 51 over under. So yeah, there are definitely some shootout games on this one. And yeah, we'll start off again. Kyler Murray had a massive game today. The week 1 stats aren't updated yet, but he was, I believe, the top scoring quarterback. Again, had almost 300 yards passing, 4 touchdowns, also ran one in. Minnesota defense not great, and yeah, the Cardinals like to push the pace. So if Minnesota can keep this game competitive, you could see a really big game here from Kyler Murray. Like him a lot there at the top. I talked about the Seattle stack also just because the target share is so condensed, right? You know where it's going. Like one of Metcalf or Lockett are going to have a massive week almost every week. It's just going to happen. It was Lockett this week. That probably means it's going to be Metcalf or it was Lockett last week. That means it's probably be Metcalf this week, right? But yeah, another higher total game, and Wilson is, again, you can definitely stack him with either one or both wide receivers if you think it's going to be like a huge shootout. Josh Allen was a little bit disappointing, but on the positive there, so he's just going to throw the ball a ton. And I mentioned all the Dallas guys seem a little bit underpriced, like 6.8K for Dak Prescott feels too cheap in one of the higher total games. They're another team that, again, it's going to push the pace, and their defense is not good, so they're going to be involved in a lot of shootouts, which is definitely a positive. Jalen Hurts, I like once again, another higher total game. I know San Francisco known for pretty solid defense, but it's just the floor that he possesses with the rushing ability, right? That's why I really like Jalen Hurts. Very high on him. Again, my one best ball team I drafted, I have Hurts and Kyler Murray. So I love those rushing quarterbacks. Hurts feels too cheap again here at 6.5K. Let's see. Other mid-range quarterbacks, a little bit of interest in. Stafford, again, they're going to air it out a lot this year. Scrolling down a little bit more. Trevor Lawrence, Jacksonville looked bad. I mean, they got destroyed by Houston. You mean to tell me you didn't stack all 3 Houston running backs with T-Mobile last week? Amateurs. Tyrod Taylor had a good week. He did, but what I don't like is they're going up against Cleveland, and Cleveland's a run-first team, so this could be kind of an ugly game. Not much else here I love, like cheap quarterbacks. I don't think it's worth it to go to these guys. I'd rather go to like someone in the mid-6K range or spend up a little bit more. Again, like Tannehill is a decent, kind of buy low opportunity here. Tennessee looked awful last week. That doesn't mean they're going to play bad this week. Week 2 in DFS is my favorite week to play because you're going to have the classic overreactions, guys. People are going to overreact, right? On Twitter today, there's 3 things I learned on Twitter today. DeAndre Swift is the GOAT. He's the best player of all time. Aaron Rodgers sucks, and Kyle Pitts is a bust. Those are 3 things that I learned on Twitter. right? So you're going to see some classic overreactions to week 1, which is why I really like playing week 2. Again, I think it's my favorite week to play. Moving on to running back, don't want to spend a ton of time on McCaffrey. Going to be out there basically the entire game. Very involved in the passing game. What, he had like 9 catches week 1. Didn't get in the end zone, but still put up a big week. Dalvin Cook, again, if Minnesota can keep this game competitive, he's also a bell cow back. Very involved in the passing game. So top running backs, once again, look really good. Kamara, too. So, again, if you play the Kamara, you got a little bit unlucky. Just the fact that they blew out Green Bay. Absolutely no one expected that. So just the game script kind of got away from them. They didn't have to pass the ball. The reason Kamara is such a good DFS play on a week-to-week basis because he's so involved in the passing game, but them having a massive lead, they just didn't need to do it. So, yeah, once again, I like the top 3 backs. Derrick Henry had an awful week last week. That doesn't mean he's going to have an awful week again. He's usually someone I don't play, or like I never play in DFS, so he's not really involved in the passing game, but he's going to break the slate once or twice a year. It's going to happen, right? Let's see. Nick Chubb at 7-8 had a good week last week, but again, not really involved in the passing game, so that's a risk there. Austin Eckler was a little bit limited, only played about 60% of the snaps, but I think that was just a week 1 thing. I think those snaps will go up as we go on in the season as long as he can stay healthy. He didn't catch any passes, wasn't targeted, but I'm not super worried about it. Again, this is projected to be a higher scoring game, so this would be one where it's like people overreact, right? They think, oh man, Eckler's terrible, he's not involved in the pass game, we're done. Chill. It's 1 week. And again, they took it, I think, a little bit easy in his snaps because he was dealing with a mild hamstring issue. So, yeah, kind of like Eckler. I think the ownership will be low. Again, Mixon was a guy I was high. Now he goes up against Chicago. Also gets the price bump. Still viable because he's going to be out there like the entire time. He's like the bell cow back without Giovanni Bernard there anymore. James Robinson, hey, I warned you guys. I was like, hey, I think there's a chance Urban Meyer trolls us. And he did. Carlos Hyde out-carried James Robinson like 2-1. Now, Robinson played more, but really, Carlos Hyde? Carlos Hyde shouldn't be in the league. He shouldn't be on the roster. He is so washed. Like, oh, makes no sense there. Okay, here's another one I think we're going to get overreaction to, at least right now. Najee Harris did not have a good week 1. 16 carries for 45 yards, 1 catch on 3 targets. He played 100% of the snaps. 100%. Did not leave the field. Ran a ton of routes. And sure, he had a bad week 1. I'm not worried at all. Gets a better matchup. Price looks really good here. And he's going to play the entire time. So I think Najee Harris looks great there. Another overreaction. Here's another one. Zeke Elliott, right? Now, I'm not as high actually on Zeke season long. But week 1, again, awful matchup, and they just couldn't run the ball, so they just aired it out the entire game. That's not going to happen every single week, right? Now, Zeke, the issue there is I do think Tony Pollard is a good running back behind him, but it's probably like a 60-40, 70-30 split there, and the price looks pretty solid. 6.2K looks pretty good for Zeke, so another one where I think people are going to overreact and say, oh, Zeke's dead. I don't think he's dead yet. No, and I think it's a pretty solid price there on Zeke at 6.2. Let's see. Chris Carson's fine at 6'1". Again, he is going to be the early down back. Not that good of a pass catcher, but definitely viable. Other backs, Henderson also played basically the entire time. He came out for like a couple snaps at the end for Sony Michel. We'll see. My guess is Sony Michel probably eats in that workload a little bit as we go on. But if you think he's going to play basically the entire game next week, then yeah, he's viable. So a little bit interested there in Henderson. So Mostert's out for 8 weeks. So I'll go down to Elijah Mitchell. I think is going to be popular here at 5K. Now, he got a majority of the rushing attempts, and San Francisco is a run-first team. Historically, they're known to be kind of a running back by committee backfield, so we'll see. We'll see if Sermon gets involved. They also have Hasty. But, yeah, I think he probably looks the best of the San Francisco backs. Now, I do think he's going to be popular, but definitely somebody to look to for a salary relief play. One other thing I mentioned in week 1 was Mostert. So I talked about this actually a lot in the YouTube live stream as well as the Patreon live stream. That was really the only news we got. Like usually going into NFL Sunday, we're waiting on a lot of news. A lot of guys are questionable. Really the only big piece of news we got was that Trey Sermon was inactive. So my take was I thought Mostert was a good play, but I thought he was going to be over-owned because that was the only piece of news we got, and people overreacted. Again, I'm not saying Mostert was a bad play. Obviously, injury, like you can't predict that. He was a good play, but he was over-owned. He was like 35 to 40% in some tournaments. Definitely over-owned. So that was my take on Mostert. It's just people were going to overreact because that was the only piece of news really we got on Sunday. And then, yeah, I think Chase Edmonds is also viable 4.9. He's going to split duties with James Conner, but he's their pass-catching back. He had 12 carries, 63 yards, and then 4 catches for 43 yards and 4 targets. So I think he's a viable GPP play, but that's probably about it for me for running back. So let's move on to wide receiver. Again, the guys at the top are going to look at, right? Hopkins had a big game. He's definitely stackable with Kyler Murray. Don't want to spend a ton of time there. Diggs going to play the entire time. Buffalo doesn't run the ball. Looks good. Now you have DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. Again, Lockett had the good game last week, so he might get the ownership. If Lockett's going to get more ownership than DK, then I would just rather go to DK for lower ownership. But again, condensed target share. You know where the ball is going when Seattle's throwing the ball. It's one of those 2 receivers most of the time. Again, Ridley, I think it's going to be a classic overreaction too. I think the ownership's going to drop a lot. Now, Tampa Bay, really good against the run. Against the pass, they're solid, but I don't think Atlanta's going to go for like 150 yards every single week. Like, I think their offense does get a little bit better here, so don't mind him as a contrarian GBP play. You know, the Minnesota side of things, this Arizona game, if you want to bring back in like an Arizona stack, Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen look good. We're talking about a KJ Osborne too, who looked really good as their kind of slot wide receiver. I think he's a viable punt play this week. Keenan Allen is just so safe every single week. It's just the targets, right? Another one where it's like condensed targets. You know where the ball is going. It's Keenan Allen. It's Austin Eckler most of the time here for the Chargers. So 9 catches on 13 targets. This is projected to be one of the highest total games on the week. Really, really do like Keenan Allen. Again, A.J. Brown, probably ownership drops in him. I don't think Tennessee is going to be that bad this week. So another kind of buy low opportunity there. The Tampa receivers are all solid. Godwin, Mike Evans, and Antonio Brown. They should score a ton of points here. Let's see. Going down more to the mid-range, Cooper Kupp feels too cheap at 6K. He's going to play majority of the game. Very involved in the passing game. The Rams are definitely a pass-first team. Let's see. What else do we have? Keep an eye on Odell Beckham Jr. Again, if he misses again, then Jarvis comes viable. DPJ, Donovan Peoples-Jones, played a majority of the snaps, even though he didn't do much with them last week. Judy is out, so I think a guy like KJ Hamler becomes viable. That's unfortunate. Jerry Judy's a guy I was very high on for season long. Have him in my sole best ball team. But good news is it's only a high ankle sprain, so he probably is out for 4 or 6 weeks or so. Not going to be out for the season, which is a positive after what looked like a season-ending injury there. And Chenault, this Jacksonville offense is going to be they're going to be playing behind most weeks, and he's a slot wide receiver, so he's probably going to get peppered with targets. I think that's a decent play kind of now as we get to value. Let's see. What else kind of down here? So the Colts receivers, Pittman played like 97% of the snaps. Now, he didn't do a ton with them. You had Pascal that was a little bit better production-wise. He also had 2 touchdowns, but those 2 I think are fine GBP plays. Darnell Mooney I think is a pretty solid play. He played 100% of the snaps. Good matchup here against Cincinnati. And the Bears are not a great team. I know Andy Dalton is but Mooney 4.2. I think that is a little bit too cheap. So like him, yeah. I mean, obviously we're stacking him with Andy Dalton, like Andy Dalton revenge game, right? Clear play. Let's see what else. Rager, so the 2 Philadelphia receivers, Rager, Devontae Smith, I think are both solid. Rager is going to be playing a lot in the slot. Devontae Smith basically played the entire time. Another guy I kind of like for value here is Emmanuel Sanders. So he played on, 93% of the offensive snaps. Again, Buffalo doesn't run the ball. 4 catches and 8 targets. He's only 4K. Matchup is fine. Yeah, I think that's a pretty good value play there for Emmanuel Sanders, even though he's getting up there in age. Now, Rondell Moore didn't play as much as we all thought, so he's definitely a risk. Again, mentioned Hamler with no more Jerry Judy. He's probably going to have to step up a little bit. What else? Keep an eye on Jameson Crowder. If he can't go, Berrios, will play the slot wide receiver. He had 5 catches and 7 targets. I think he would be an okay punt play. We'll see how much Renfro plays tonight. My guess is somewhere in that 50 to 60% range. We'll see if he plays more. He could be a potential value play. Let's go to, where is he? Dallas. Let me just go to Dallas. Oh, there he is. Cedric Wilson. So he'll be filling in as a number 3 wide receiver. We know Dallas likes airing it out a lot. They're going to Gallup out for at least 3 weeks, 3 to 5 weeks. So Cedric Wilson firmly in play for value. I think will be one of the more popular value plays, but definitely for good reason. All right, let's finish up with tight end. So tight end, Waller at the top. again, can't go wrong with Waller. Probably going to get double-digit targets on a week-to-week basis. George Kittle. So this game, you know, a higher scoring game. I have a little more confidence going to Kittle this week than I did last week, because last week I thought 49ers were just going to blow out the Lions, which they did until that fourth quarter. The Lions just make a miraculous comeback. That was a crazy game. Again, Kyle Pitts, according to Twitter, he's a bust. No, he's not. No, he's not. Atlanta's couldn't really move the ball last week. Probably is, you know, they're most likely going to be playing from behind here as a 13-point dogs, and he is their clear, you know, receiving tight end, and a guy that has a lot of upside. It's going to line up in the slot a lot too. So again, ownership is going to drop a lot on Kyle Pitts. I'm fine going right back to the well there. Gronkowski had a big week 1. He might be a little bit over-owned, though, for me. Noah Fant, no more Jerry Jeudy. This is a solid match against Jacksonville. They can't stop anyone. So I think Fant's going to be a good play for sure. 4.2K, again, should get some more targets now without Jerry Jeudy. What else? Cole Kmet basically played like 100% snaps here for the Bears. And, yeah, definitely the guy to play over Jimmy Graham for sure. Couple other guys I want to mention. So Ferkser 3-4 is their pass catching tight end. He didn't have the best week, but this is another, you know, projected to be a higher scoring game. So I think Ferkser's a fine punt play. Coughlin without Irv Smith, you know, is going to play a majority of the snaps. Another game that's projected to be a shootout. So those two I think are viable punt plays as well. And yeah, I think that's really going to do it for the video today, guys. So if you have been enjoying the content so far, I would really appreciate it if you have a like button on the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell so you don't upload videos and you don't go live. Again, as always for the week 1 main sites, I'll be live before lock on Sunday, and then I'll also, again, be making videos for all the showdown sites and doing live streams as well. I'll be live tonight for the Monday Night Football showdown sites, so make sure to check that one out too, guys. Thanks again. Have a great day, and I'll see you all in the next video.